is this okay with her that we then, so she, I guess, may,
So
it's up to her. Sarah, it's okay with you?
yeah, so usually I don't do, usually I do only like community partners. I usually don't do like public events. But we will have some public events that I can tell you about that anyone from the community can sign up for. We have some coming up that they can sign up for.
So I guess then the information that you're going to, do we have to have this then, Steve, and you too?
So maybe we should stop because we're streaming now on YouTube. Maybe.
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, I would.
Okay.
But
my only concern was Sarah, but if she's okay, then okay, let's go ahead and let's call the meeting to order. And unfortunately, I cannot see none of you just speak, and that's it. All right, Ebenezer, so we good to go?
Yes, you all set. You have
you.
the co-host for Tanya,
All right,
co-host
so,
for Sarah.
let's call this
We are
meeting to
recording
order.
and
Good
also
evening,
we are on
everyone.
YouTube.
My name
Good
is
luck.
Frank Forimon, Chair of the Youth and Education Committee. Right now it's 6:54 p.m. I would like to welcome all of you. Just for the record, please identify yourself. Do we have any members of the committee, the Youth and Education Committee? They will go first. We go with the rest of the board members, and then members of the public.
are there any members of the Youth and Education Committee on the call? No, I don't.
No. All right, let's proceed with the board members.
Tanya Bonner, board member.
Thank you.
Sarah, also known as Sally Fisher, board member.
Thank you, Shelley. Yes.
Steve Simon.
Steve, thank you.
Marielle Ali, board member.
Thanks, Mary Ali. Yes. Anybody else?
No, that's it.
All right. So I just would like to proceed with.
Well, you also have Blanca Battino.
Yes, we're going next. That's the next round. So I wanted just to welcome also our presenter, Sarah Malakia. And Sarah, thank you so much for presenting. Sarah is the specialist. She's the representative, especially for the Census Bureau. Sarah, thank you so much for being with us. And I would like also to welcome and thank Miss Blanca Battino, who is a former school principal in District 6. So I want to welcome all of you. And if there is anybody else that I'm missing, so I do apologize, but just please say your name for the record. So at this point, so let's then welcome again Sarah, and the floor is yours. You may start anytime.
Okay, thank you so much for having me join you all this evening. I have a short PowerPoint presentation giving you an overview of the data that we collect at the Census Bureau. And then I'll do a demonstration online of how you can access data. And then I'll stay on if there's any other questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and have you, I'll start the PowerPoint. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay, super. So, so thanks again, everyone, for joining. I've been a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau since 2018. We were doing a lot of outreach in the community for the 2020 census, and reaching out to different community organizations, religious groups, and tenants associations. So now we're in our thank you campaign. Now we are, letting you know how to find the data, when it's going to be available, and how to actually, find that for whatever work you guys are doing, grant proposals, budgeting, things like that. So first, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for completing their census, for helping, get the community involved in responding, for helping your neighbors and your friends fill out the census. It's been a very difficult year, and we're just so thankful for all our community partners, because without you, we wouldn't have been able to, get a good, accurate count. So thankfully, with your help, we were able to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place in the 2020 census. We got 99.9% of U.S. residents counted. So it was really great. And those counts are going to directly inform the billions and billions of federal funding and federal programs that's going to come to our city and our state. And it's also going to determine our representation in Congress. So right now we're a little bit delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We had to extend the data collection from July to October. So our dates are a little bit behind, but we are looking to deliver the apportionment counts by later this month on April 30th. And we're planning to deliver the redistricting counts by September 30th. I know it's a little bit behind, but we just want to make sure we go through the right process and to make sure that we have the quality, accurate data. So we also have some data summits planned coming up from April through July. And I'll tell you a little bit more about those coming up a little later in the presentation. So I know everyone knows us mostly from the decennial census, which happens every 10 years. That's when you hear a lot about the Census Bureau. But we actually also do two other censuses. We do the economic census and the census of governments, and those occur every 5 years. In a census, we're counting every single unit, whether that unit is people or households or, whatever. But when we, a census is when we're counting everything. But we also do surveys, and surveys are when we count a sample of the population. And right now we have over 130 surveys that we do. So we're always working all the time, even if you're not hearing from us, between the decennial censuses, we are working all the time. And I'll go into some of these, I'll mention some of these surveys that we do that are very helpful for you. So how can data help us? Data can help us make better decisions about our community. We all know about our neighborhood, and you all do a great job. But having data and having statistics to back up our arguments can just help us advocate more strongly for our community. So whether it's to an elected official, you can say anecdotally, this is happening in our neighborhood, we need more funding. But when you can back that up with demographic figures, with statistics, it can just help to bolster your argument and to make your advocacy stronger. So I really hope that you'll be able to use the data tools that I'm going to share with you today. And these are tools, they're free and available for you to use. You never have to pay for anything, right? This is taxpayer funded. And the Census Bureau is the largest statistical agency in the US. So you can feel free to use our data products with the confidence that it's good quality data. Okay. So what kinds of data do we have available? We have all kinds of information available for you, both at the nation level as well as our neighborhood level. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a few of our demographic and housing surveys. One survey that's very important is the American Community Survey. So this survey is happening every month of every year, and it surveys about 3.5 million households. That's about 1% of the population. And so we're using the survey, since it's an ongoing survey, we're always updating our figures. And this survey is very rich and detailed. We get a lot of information because there's so many questions. It's not like the decennial census that was just, 9 or 10 questions. The American Community Survey goes into a lot more detail. We ask, what language is spoken in the household, or what kind of occupation do people in the household have? So we can get a lot of information based on this survey. And you're going to see when we do the search later in the presentation that a lot of the table sets that we have come directly from this survey. We call it ACS. Local healthcare providers or hospitals can use this information. Local nonprofit organizations, emergency planners, local and state government officials, even journalists, if they're writing a story about a trend or something happening, they can use these data points. The great thing about the American Community Survey is, again, we have these different geographic levels that you can look at. So you can look at the nationwide level, you can look at a state or county level, and you can go all the way down to a census tract or block group level. Now, again, all Census Bureau surveys are private and confidential. So you can't, find out who lives next door to you and find out your neighbor's, information. It's all private and confidential, but you can see a lot of detail, and you can look really down into one subset of a neighborhood to see the demographic information available. The ACS survey comes out every fall. So if you're interested in learning more, I can share this presentation, this file with you after the meeting today, so that you can have all these links available for you. We also do the American Housing Survey, and this is something that's sponsored by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, but it's conducted by us at the Census Bureau. So this is a great survey for anything related to housing, the quality of housing, the price of housing, the demographics of people who live in housing. So this survey is also longitudinal, which means that we're asking the same respondents every time. And that way we're able to measure trends or any changes through the years. And we also have a population estimates program. So if you are working on a budget or strategic planning for something that's 5 or 10 years in advance, we're able to calculate what a population might be at a future date. So we take the current population number, and we can use the death rates, the birth rates, and the migration rates to make an estimate of what a population might be at a future date. So again, if you're working on any kind of future projections or forecasting, then this is where you could go to find out what is the population going to be of our area in 5 years. So we also conduct a number of different economic surveys and collect a lot of data about the economy. As I mentioned, we do the economic census every 5 years. And, this is just a great way to know what's happening on the economic level. The GDP is calculated based on this. And we have a lot of information. So for businesses who provide services to other businesses, small business owners, researchers can use this information. It's one of the best markers of how the economy is doing. And we also have the survey of business owners. So again, this is really important information. They're saying now in New York City that 1 out of 3 businesses are at risk for closing due to the pandemic. So it's really important that we keep a pulse on what's happening with small business owners so that they can provide programs to help them. So again, this is a very important survey. If sometimes I meet people who say, oh, I got this survey in the mail for my business, do I have to fill it out? Yes, please, if you get a Census Bureau survey in the mail, please fill it out, because every survey that's completed is a building block. And the more building blocks we have, the better picture we have about what's happening in our community, even at the neighborhood level. Okay, so what's next? So the data I told you about, the 2020 census data, is going to be coming out soon. So we have a lot of census data summits coming up. These are just ways for you to learn more about census data and how to use it. The census data summits are starting this month in April and are going all the way to July. So I will send you the link to register for those. Some of them are very popular subjects and they might be filled early. So if you're interested in a data summit, please sign up now, register for it so that you can make sure to get a spot. We're going to have some summits. It's going to be more thematic. So some are going to be for like nonprofits, or some will be for educators. Some will be for emergency responders. So hopefully there's a subject in there that's very interesting to you, and you can join us for one of those summits. And if you want to learn more, we have something called the Census Academy. It's at the census.gov/academy. And this website has some great little short videos, 3 to 7 minutes, for anyone who'd like to learn more about the Census Bureau data. So, each video is a little tip or trick about how to find data. So if you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to take a look at our Census Academy. And for all the educators out there, we also have our Statistics in Schools program at census.gov/schools. And this is resources, lesson plans for educators from all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade. So, we really want to encourage children to start learning about data literacy at a young age, because there's a lot of jobs coming out now where data analysis is required for the job, a lot of good paying jobs. So this is a way, this website is really a resource for teachers, and it's a way for them to start incorporating census information into their lesson plans, whether it's, history, math, science. We have all different subject areas and all different grade levels available. So if you're an educator, or if you work with any schools or educators, please share that information with them. And we also have some maps to give away. So if you work with any local schools, I'd be happy to send out some color laminated maps to you. So please let me know. So we have a lot of different resources on our website for you to explore. Today I'm going to be showing you these top 2 resources, the ACS narrative profiles, as well as data.census.gov. So I'm going to move to the web browser right now and show you how to do a search. Okay. And I'll be sharing the links with you after the session today so that you have it on hand. So this is our American Community Survey narrative profiles. And narrative profiles are just a great way to get an overview. So if you are making a report and you need to know just kind of quick, easy information about a certain area, you can search these narrative profiles, which kind of give you a lot of information very quickly. So let's try, we can search state, county. Let's do a zip code just as a way to, just as an example. We'll pick New York State, and then let's pick 100.
Pick one of our zip codes. Yeah, 34. Okay.
10034. So again, this is just an example, but you can search in different ways as well. But this one, we'll just pick this zip code for now. So it might take a few seconds to load, but I'm going to show you that just in a few clicks, we can get access to all kinds of information. So this narrative profile, we have information here about households and families, language spoken, commuting to work, income, even all the way down to the bottom, we have computer and internet use, So we have a lot of information here. So let me open up these tabs and you can see what I mean. So we have here, you know, how many households live in this zip code, the average household size. We have the types of households available, whether people are cohabitating couples or married couples. And so like any of these, you know, little figures and graphs, you can, you know, copy and paste those into a report you're working on. You can also view the data in table format if that's a better format for you. And you can see we have like 56.4% of people were US natives and 41% were living in the state they were born. So again, some demographic information about nativity and people who are foreign born. And languages, well, what languages do people speak in the neighborhood? We can see Spanish is the front runner at 63.6%. So again, this is a great way to get really quick and easy overview information. And it's also a quick and easy way to compare. So if you want to look up figures for Manhattan and then also figures for a zip code in CB12, you can make easy comparisons. You can say, well, the average for Manhattan is this, but in our neighborhood it's this. And so you can use that to, you know, argue for more resources or more funding. So that's our, the American Community Survey narrative profiles. That's the first tool I wanted to show you. And now I want to show you something for kind of going more in depth. It's a new portal that we have at data.census.gov. So this is a new tool that we have available. And, you know, we do more than 130 surveys. So in the past, all the surveys lived on a different part of our website. But now there's one streamlined portal. So you can do one search here, and then any Census Bureau survey that has information related to that search will pop up. So it's a lot more streamlined, a lot more user-friendly. And we hope that it's easy and that you'll be able to use it for your work. So I'm going to show you here how to do a search. I'm going to click on the, right under this box, I'm going to click on the words advanced search. And it takes us to this page here with filters. So we can choose our filters now. So for the year, I'm going to pick 2019, meaning I want the most up-to-date information. Soon 2020 will be one of the options here to click. But for now, let's just use 2019 as an option. And then for geography, there's a really cool thing that we can use for New York City. We have something called Public Use Microdata Area, or PUMA, and that directly relates to the community board areas. So I'm going to select New York, and then I'm going to say I want to look just specifically at Manhattan. And then if I scroll down, I see we have Community Board 12, right? Oops, it went off of it. Community Board 12 right here. So that's great. I can just narrow it down to just the CB12.
There's a mistake here. The Community Board district does not include Marble Hill. Marble Hill is part of a Community District 8 in the Bronx.
Yeah, so the issue is that we only have this information available for areas where there's 100,000 people or more. So sometimes they combine areas, or else they wouldn't be able to show the public use microdata area. Sometimes they have to like combine a district. So it might not be exactly right.
Yeah.
But if
Marble Hill is officially part of Manhattan, but it
right.
But in terms of community districts, it's considered part of the Bronx district.
Okay. So instead, we might want to do zip code, and then we could pick just the zip codes in your area. So we can do New York. So we could do like 10033 and 10034. Is that better? Is that
Yeah, I mean, can you do all 4 of the zip codes? Can you include 32 and 40?
Sure. There we go. Yep, so we can do it that way. So now we have at the bottom, we have our geography of using those 4 zip codes, and then we have the year 2019. And then we can look at what topics we have available. So every time you select a filter, it shows up here at the bottom in these tabs. So let's just look at, I mean, there's so many options here, but let's look at health, just as an example. So I'm going to click on the blue button in the bottom right corner that says search. And so these are the table sets that come up based on those filters that we selected. Right. So we have here 103 tables. So it's kind of a lot of information.
Wow.
And you can see here, there's the title of the table set, and then it shows the survey or program it came from. And most of these are from the American Community Survey.
Can you look at the disability characteristics just because I want to see that one table?
Oh, sure.
Thanks.
And then I just also wanted to mention there's always also a table number here. So the disability characteristics table is S1810. So if you find a really good table set that's really great for your work that you want to, you know, just note that table ID number. Okay. And that way it'll be easier to find it in the future. Okay. So let's click on this one, disability characteristics. So this screen is kind of showing us the more detailed data. And I'm sorry, I'm on an iPad, so I'm just gonna, we can't see the whole screen here. So I'm just gonna shorten these tabs real quick so we can see the left-hand column.
Do you think that disability would be people that are have like received disability income, or is it limited to certain types of disabilities?
I think this is just, let's go to the, just one second. I'm going to try to get to the left-hand column so we can see what it's showing us. Sorry about that. I'm on an iPad, so sometimes it's hard to see the whole data set. I think it's quite large because we picked 4 zip codes, so it's showing everything right next to each other. So let's see. There's a lot of columns here. Just one sec. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I can't see the whole thing here because it's just a very large, large table set, and I have a very small screen. So I'm trying to get to the left-hand column so we can see what we're looking at. Okay, just in terms of this, just for the purposes of showing you, I'm going to take off some of these zip codes so I can see see it better.
Right.
Or else it's just too big of a file. Okay, so I'm just going to redo this search for area code or zip code 10040. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, just for the purposes of this. So, so you can see here, this is looking at people with disabilities by sex, by ethnic background, by age, by type of disability, whether it's hearing, vision, cognitive, ambulatory, or self-care, or independent living. And then if this table is very useful to you, you can click on this button, Customize Table. And you can, from this page, you can save it. So you can click on this Excel button that says, just says Excel, and you can export to either a CSV file or an Excel file, and you can just save it directly to your computer. So that, question?
Yeah, just, is there a place to find on the census thing? Is there a place to find for each of these surveys that you did at the blank form so we can see what is asked?
Yeah, I believe the American Community Survey questions are on our website.
Okay.
It's a longer survey. I think there's about 140 questions
Right.
asked. Yeah.
So,
Go on.
Sarah, if I may, I know that Steve previously also asked the questions about the zip code. If you can perhaps, highlight those zip codes that he mentioned. So I wanted to suggest that once you finish with the reporting about those, zip codes, maybe we should allow the question, because I know that there might be information that if you stop and answer one question and come back, you may lose the track of, any information that you wanted to continue. So in other words, that would lend to room for inconsistency. So I suggest that you concentrate and report on those CCO and whatever, and then at the end of the presentation, we all going to be asking questions. I think it would be a lot better.
Okay. So this is what I wanted to show you with the data.census.gov tool. So if I go back, again, there's so many different topics that we can choose from. So we have information on housing, income and poverty, race and ethnicity, education. So you can use this to look at all different types of data for the CB12 area. So as I mentioned previously, if you find a table ID set that's really useful for you, just make a note of that table ID number, and then you can put it in this search box here. If you want to find it again in the future, you can just find it directly very easily through that.
Sarah?
Okay. Yeah.
Is there a way, like, let's say you're in 10040 and you're in the district that covers Community Board 12. Is there a way to filter it so that you can only see Washington Heights or you can only see Inwood, or you can see Marble Hill? You know what I mean? So is there a way to further filter that down so you can just see those particular areas?
Right. Yeah, so you could do, there's so many different geographies that you can work with. You could do like by the census tracts if we want to be really specific. We could do it by like a school district. You could also do, you can do the multiple zip codes. It's just because I'm on a small screen, it doesn't show up very well, but you can do that. You can select the exact zip codes. And you would just need like a bigger screen, or like a desktop computer or a laptop where you can, you can see all the information that comes up. But yeah, there's different ways that you can search in terms of the geography. We have voting districts. So it just depends on what data you're looking for and what area you want to concentrate on. I think
but all of this data though is based on the ACS survey done of just 1%, roughly 1% of the population. So it's all based on it's not based on actual data, but it's all projections, right?
Well, yeah. So it's a sample of the population, but we take enough of a sample that we feel comfortable making an estimate about the entire population. But yeah, every year the new data that comes out is 1%, and the next year another 1%. So every year, different people will be sent. It's random, so it's not the same people every year. But based on that sample of information, we can make estimates about the entire population.
So so you build upon the 1% each year. It's a cumulative survey.
I don't know if I'm not sure if that's an accurate statement, but I can look into it and let you know.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, how
So,
how
for
the
instance,
statisticians calculate it.
the data that's provided, for instance, for 2019, is it based on data that's also been compiled from prior years? That would be my question, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I can find out for you and let you know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, anybody
Okay.
else?
Yep.
No,
So I
go
just
ahead.
want to be mindful of the time. So I just wanted to just let you know, and I'll send this presentation to you afterwards, but I have my contact information here. And then we also have the data dissemination program, which is, career Census Bureau employees. If you guys are working on a big project or a big budget and you want very specific information, you can work with one of our data dissemination specialists. And they're really great. They know a lot about the different surveys that we conduct. So I can definitely help set that up with one of our data specialists, if you guys are interested. So any other questions about the data tools or anything else?
I had a question about the difference between the apportionment data and the redistricting data. Could you go to there was an early slide that showed when these two sets of data would be made available?
Yep. Okay. So apportionment is
April, the end of April.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is the end of September.
Screen? Yeah, do you still see my screen?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, great. So the apportionment counts are, every state is apportioned representation based on the population count, right? So
right.
So that's for that, those numbers directly affect the number of representatives who represent New York in the House of Representatives.
Right. But isn't that the same data that would be used for redistricting purposes?
It's different. So the apportionment it's more of like a mathematical thing. They have an equation, and they, because there's only 435 seats in the House of Representatives, so they have to apportion those 435 seats based on the population of each state. Redistricting is a little bit different. Redistricting is like we send data to the states, and then the states at the state level and also at the local level, they can based on that information choose to rejig some of the districts. So that's like voting districts, school districts, things like that. So we're not involved in the redistricting process, but our numbers, the numbers from the Census Bureau will directly inform that process. But that happens.
So maybe the apportionment count is like a total figure for the state as to how many seats they'll have in the House, and then later on you give them the specific breakdown so they know how to redistrict the number of seats. And it's some states like New York will lose seats, so they're going to have to do redistricting. Other states like Florida will be gaining, so they also have to do redistricting. So I assume what this means is that you'll give them the specific data that they need for redistricting purposes at the end of September, but at the end of April, you will notify them as to how many total seats they will actually have in each state delegation in the House.
Yeah, the apportion. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead. I was going to say something, but when you finish.
Okay. Yeah. So, so the redistricting is not just political boundaries. It could be, like some cities, maybe they're going to, this bounds of the city are changing, populations are shifting. So they may, sometimes cities will annex a suburb as part of the city, things like that. So the redistricting is everything from like school districts to voting districts, legislative districts. It's more, and it's more done at the local level based on what's happening. Yeah.
I'm curious, if I may, I'm curious to, the question that Steve posted. So I think this is me, as making an assumption now, that what he probably, or maybe I wanted to go into it, is that yes, when it comes to budget allocation, yes, we understand that there are 435, representatives, but also the allocation that each of them may receive, or the Congress, or how do you call, assign them, may not necessarily is going to be equal, because usually budget, the amount of budget allocation that each representative gets is based on the population of their state, and for that I think that it's different. So my question is next, Steve, are you trying to find out precisely how the allocation for each representative goes?
No, because I don't think that's the way it works. I don't think each representative gets an allocation, but and that's a political process, and often it's based on different types of projects in their districts. So I don't, the money isn't divided that way. But I'm looking at how we're going to deal with the redistricting of our congressional seats, which is, I guess, you would not be able to really work on until after getting the specific census tract data at the end of September.
So so the Census Bureau is not involved in like the budgeting of the district.
No,
so
of course not. No.
I unfortunately can't answer. I just don't know anything about that process.
Right.
How the budgeting works or anything. I think it's just is separate from the Census
right, of course.
Bureau. So I wouldn't be.
I thought that was.
But again, what I'm trying to look at here is that most likely the way this thing works is that at the end of April you're going to tell each state, you're going to look at the 50 states, look at their populations, and then tell them how many seats they're going to be apportioned within the House. And then, because they'll have a total figure for each state, but you're not going to drill down and give them the exact figures for each census tract, or maybe even each block, which they'll need for redistricting purposes. That'll come later on at the end of September. It'll take you a number of months to come up with that specific data.
Yeah, exactly, because they're still working. It's very complicated, and they're still working on the data files. So that's why the full data files don't come until a little bit later.
Now, what was the census for 2020? There was a big issue about the previous administration trying to reduce the period in which the census was to be conducted. In the end, was the census given? Was the census provided with the same amount of time as in the past in order to complete its work?
Yeah, we actually had a little bit extra time. So we were able to extend the data collection period from July till I believe it was October 15th, if my memory serves me correctly. We were approved to extend that period till the 15th. And then typically in a normal year, we usually tabulate all the data in the fall, and we deliver the counts by December 30th of that year. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we got this new schedule with the April 30th date. So we have been extended for about 4 months. We have a little bit of an extension. Yeah.
All right, because I thought the data gathering was supposed to continue until the end of 2020.
No,
that was not the case.
No, I think so. Originally, the original date before COVID was July 30th, I believe, and then it was extended to October 15th. And I believe there was some. It might at one point it might have been October 30th, but it ended up being about, I think it was October 15th. It was the last day.
And do you know what the date was in 2010?
I don't remember. No, I'm sorry, I don't remember what the date was in 2010. But it was probably similar in that end of summer around July, around that time. And then they had all to prepare the number.
Well, I'm not sure about that because I remember that Trump was trying to cut down the period and provide less time for the data gathering, I believe.
No, we did get the extension. Yeah, we got that
Okay.
extension, so.
Well, I think there was a court
Yeah.
decision at one point. All right.
Well, anybody
Well, I
else?
think it would certainly be useful. I think if the community board, when the data is actually available, if we could have some kind of a presentation about the actual data from the 2020 census.
Okay. Yeah, so was that question for me or for other board members?
Well, I guess it's for you, but I think you also said you won't be around until the fall. Is that correct?
Yeah. So our the partnership program, which I'm a part of, we're temporary staff for the 2020 census, and my position is until August, and then yeah. But if you need anything before then, I'm happy to help. And then anything after August, we can get you set up with a session with our data dissemination team.
Yeah, I think that would be very That would be very useful.
Okay.
Especially, I think, as mentioned before, in conjunction with our review of budget priorities and community needs.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
So anybody else may have a question? Ms. Martino, you've been quiet.
May I mute myself? No, I'm listening to the what is being stated, and can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Listening
Yes.
to what was being stated, because I use a lot of data, as you said, for support of grant writing, and the sooner I can get that data, the better it is. And I would truly be interested in having some kind of data support. You mentioned the avenue. I'm interested in information that would directly impact schools as well as community programs. So, but I think the questions that Steve mentioned were very important in terms of what's the future of the community is going to be and how it's going to be served, because things keep changing. And unfortunately, a lot of people need to understand the data. So I think you were very valuable today, and you have, questions, but they're specific. I don't want to, interrupt this information setting. And I do agree with Steve that we should have a future data once everything comes out, so that we can get a nice view of what's happening within our community. And basically, thank you for your presentation. And Steve, thank you for all the questions that you asked. I know Steve for a long time. I don't know if he remembers me. So,
yeah, well, thank you for joining. And I also just wanted to mention, I know like a lot of organizations and groups are looking for like information like right now, what is happening right now. So we have we have a new survey that we started in April of 2020 so that we could track the pandemic. It's called the Household Pulse Survey. And it was a way to get quick information because, sometimes our surveys, it takes like a long time for the information to be published. So we do have a quick survey called Household Pulse Survey that is on our website, and I can share that link with you. And it's to track what's happening specifically with the pandemic and how families are doing, food security, access to healthcare, things like that. So I'll definitely share that with you after the session.
That would be extremely helpful, because I noticed on one of the tables, I think it said that in the designated period, 90% of people were in the same place that they were a year ago. And I would be really interested in what sort of movement there has been in and out of the community. And also how certain stressors have affected people in terms of, I know, for example, people reporting mental illness symptoms has gone up. I'm not sure to what extent, when you're talking disabilities, you get to things like that.
Yeah, the household pulse survey, I think, is a good place to look for that, because it asks kind of those questions like, in the last week, has this happened in your family? Have you had food insecurity, or have you, you know, it's asking specifically about like what's happening now with the pandemic. So if you're interested in that, I think that's a great place to look, because it's like every month we're getting information on the pandemic for every month or every week. So it's very valuable information.
And is that also broken down by zip code?
I'm not sure, but I can take a look on the website and see how to do a search on that. I've never actually done a search just for that specific survey, so I can take a look and let you know.
Yeah, please. That would be very, as Sally said, that would be very useful to us.
Could you send Faye the link to that specific pulse survey, or provide it to us now, and I can actually enter it in? I'm dying to see that information.
Okay, let me see if I can put it in the chat. Just one.
Okay.
Well, we only have a Q&A, so
Someone would have.
we don't have chat. So, Sarah.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to put it unless.
Yeah, we only have the Q&A.
Wow.
Okay, so could I send it to Faye? Could I send it to you like a list of links, and then you can forward to everyone who has joined us this evening?
That would be great.
Yes, no problem at all.
Thank you.
Yes.
And also maybe
And Tanya as well, too.
a copy of the presentation. I don't know if you already were planning on sending that, but this is.
Yeah, I'll
can
send
forward
everything.
I can forward I can also forward the presentation as well, along with the links.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mary. And thank you for setting this up. This is one of the best community board meetings I've been to in a while.
All right, thank you. I appreciate. I wish I can be, there seeing all of you, but it's been one of those days. So, unfortunately.
Well, we're glad you made it, Faye. We're glad you did make it on.
Yeah, but being on time, it's something that is very, to me, is highly important.
Oh,
but I was really going through some challenges, with my, and this is my telephone, so you cannot even see me or cannot even see you.
Yeah.
But anyway, we get the job done. So unfortunately, none of my members couldn't, join. I told them in advance, but I guess everybody's busy, So, but this is highly important for me personally as well. So anyway, so hopefully we can have Sarah come back sometime. I don't know whenever we may consider it might be best. Perhaps when they already close the chapter and turn off, because I know there are information that is still that they have not make it publicly yet or official. So, but I guess when everything's fall into place, so we can have her come back and perhaps she can do something for the entire board. So.
Yeah, well, when the information becomes available in the fall, I think I would suggest it be presented at a general board meeting.
At the general
so
board
we make
meeting,
sure that all of the board members see it and that the general community. I mean, this information is so important to our understanding of the community as a whole that it's worth spending some time at a community board at a general meeting on this.
I personally need it badly too. Yes. So and Sarah, I know that there were tons of I'm calling tons, but it was quite a few subject or topics that I shared with you. So hopefully some of them that we were not able maybe to go into it, but at least you provided some standards information that I think I can find it within those links. So I'm going to go into that as soon as I get the information from you. And at this point, I actually wanted just to reiterate my appreciation for, all of you. And I don't know if anybody else has anything to add. So I think that it would be very much, this is the moment. So pretty much so right now. Tanya?
I just think that, I think, having this at a general meeting is good, but I also think that there might be a need for maybe a forum, when we talk about this data, because there might be a need to sort of put some, have people who can sort of give us some insight on what some of these numbers will mean for, individuals for different segments of the community. Like, I think it'd just be good to bring in, people who might also be able to bring some additional perspective as well, on top of the numbers, because it's going, it's going to affect different communities in different ways. And as Steve was talking about with the redistricting. And so it'd probably be a good idea to just do a little bit more, because at the general meeting, we're limited and, there's a certain time frame, and then we don't always have time to go as in depth as we want to go. But if there's something just where the meeting is just focused on the data, and bringing some perspective, that could be something that we could probably think about doing.
Well, I think with that in mind, maybe Sarah may wanted to bring a colleague, someone that perhaps may cover topics like the one that Steve, brought up, and that would make things probably a lot even easier for her. And we can have just a, let's say, a meeting for that sole purpose, not necessarily at the general meeting, because like you say, I know the general meeting is limited. The time, is very limited, so for a presentation of that nature. But I think that if we can come up with just with a meeting for that sole purpose, I think it would be very beneficial, not only for us, but folks in the general community, whoever wants to join us.
Well, listen, each committee could delve into the particular statistics that are relevant to that committee, which they probably should when they're thinking of budget priorities and community needs. The health committee, I definitely want the health committee to take a look at that health survey. The housing committee has got housing statistics. Youth and education has got a separate set of statistics it can look at about schools and education. We should be the business information here that the business development committee should be looking at. So we should be with the information and the links that Sarah sends to us, we should be sending them around to all of the committees. They should all be taking a look at this information. It should all be the basis for the discussions and future discussions that we have.
And even for the budget, it's around the corner, yes.
And the aging committee has got, now that Mary has joined us, the aging committee has got a whole set of information that it can take a look at. So, this American Community Survey is something we can be looking at now. But I am maybe more confident in seeing the actual numbers that come out of the census at the end of September, and certainly would like to see. We could do an overview at the general meeting, and then maybe still have a separate meeting to go into further detail when we have a better understanding of what these numbers represent and what we want to look at in more in greater depth.
Yeah,
absolutely, definitely. Good. All right, Mary. So this is it then.
Yeah, Mary joined us as we were about to leave.
Well,
sorry, I was on the 33rd precinct council meeting. So
yeah, I know. They're going to send around everything. They're going to send the presentation, the links and everything. So.
All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, so I just wanted to then, adjourn the meeting. If anyone want a second, it's fine with me.
Second.
So meeting is adjourned at 7:51 p.m. Sarah, not without saying thank you deeply. And thank you all of you again for attending this wonderful and important meeting, I should say. So thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. It's nice to see you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for your great questions. See you in person soon, hopefully.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Sid.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Yes, bye.